Hi everyone, my name's Amanda, aka Biker Girl Mandy, and this is going to be my first YouTube video. So I figured why not go through and talk about my writing journey from beginning to where I am now. And so if you are interested, first off, welcome to my channel. And if you're interested in watching, let's get started. Okay, so my writing journey began in 2017. And I started learning on a 2013 V-Star 650, which is a cruiser bike. I'll put like a picture here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. It's fully carbureted, kind of old school style. And the one I learned on had big like eight fingers, so I was kind of a little bit more upright like this. So I learned obviously in a parking lot, kind of learning how to stop and go, how to move around, things like that. And once I got a little more comfortable, I kind of ventured into the streets around my parents' house, and didn't really run into any issues there. I took about like 6 months off from then, and then decided to go from my house and try and take a little ride around town. And so probably like maybe 1 minute into my ride, I went ahead and hit my first four-way stop, and it was a busy stop. There was a bunch of cars, and of course, I think if any of you guys are riders, you'll know as a beginner, you freak out and you dump the clutch and you stall. At that time, I didn't have like the best mentality about riding, or I would get really nervous when I was learning to ride. I don't know if it had to do with the bike I was on or just because I was a little younger, whatever. But I freaked out and I really panicked, and I, kept stalling. And then when I finally got it going, I just went for it instead of waiting for cars to make sure it was safe to go. And I honestly like cut in front of a car, and thankfully they stopped, but it was pretty close. And, very dumb decision to just try and bust through the thing after I was able to go. So the person that was teaching me how to ride, immediately told me to pull over, and they were like, that was really dangerous. I think we need to get back into the parking lot and get a little bit more fundamentals before you go on the road, because you're obviously not ready for this. So that kind of spooked me at that point. And then from there, like I honestly took a break. So from 2017, I didn't ride at all until 2022. During COVID times, I was really interested in getting a dual sport bike. So I was searching for a KLX 230, because I figured, let me learn off-road, away from cars, away from other people. So that's a little bit less stress, so I can just get comfortable riding and then see if I like it. If I don't like riding on streets, I can always be off-road. Here's a little picture of the KLX. And so what I did is, because I'm short, I'm about 5'3". This is my cat. He's probably going to join a lot of these videos, FYI, because he likes to be next to me all the time. So I'm really short. I'm 5'3", 5'4", on a good day. And I have a 30-inch inseam. And so we slammed this bike down. We lowered it so that I can fit on it better, and learn and be comfortable, because my first time riding it, I rode in a little parking lot down the way, and I dropped the bike on myself. So I got a lowered seat, and then also like slammed it to the ground with one of those Soupy's Garage lowering brackets. So from there, I started learning off-road, and it was a journey. It took me a couple years of practicing and going off-road, and I live up in the mountains. If you follow any of my social medias, you'll see I only ride in the mountains because that's where I live. So, we'd have to trailer it down and go try and ride, and I get crazy winters here, things like that. So it took me a few years. I finally kept practicing. I'll put in some B-roll here so you guys can kind of see some of my journey. I would always get excited and be like, I went 10 miles per hour today off-road, thinking I went so fast. And at the time, it felt like I was flying. turns were always super hard for me, maybe because I was learning off-road and I was on dirt and was sliding around. But yeah, it always just felt like I was going so fast, and I like kept practicing. And I decided, you know, I want to start trying to go on road. So it was at that point I decided I'm going to go get my permit from the DMV. So I did that. And then I didn't know if I wanted to do the MSF course. I figured I would try and pass the DMV test. In California, if you don't know, it's kind of known as like a harder test. I know a lot of people who can't pass it, so they just do the MSF course. So I kept training, and I'll insert some B-roll here so you can kind of see too. Super dorky video footage, but I would go and trailer my bike there because I still wasn't riding streets. And I would practice and keep practicing until I finally was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it and take the test. And I finally went to the DMV, and it was, first off, the scariest thing ever to try and take that test. They literally made me watch the guy who went before me, and he failed, and I was just, it made me more anxious because you know, if you put your foot down or if you go outside the lines or anything like that, you automatically fail, and then you don't get a retry. It's just one chance. If you fail any of, I think it's three or four skills. So I was super nervous, and I just like decided, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. And I was doing the first test, and I swear, I was like, I feel like I went out of the line. And I was so close to just giving up and being like, you know what, like, I'll just give up and try another time. I just figured, just keep going, see how it goes. And sure enough, I passed that first little, it's like a snake ride, and then you do 2 circles. And sure enough, I passed it. I did the other one, and then the last one's super easy because it's just you drive, shift up, shift down, do a U-turn, drive, shift up, shift down. And I knew I had that. And so I've passed and got my motorcycle license, and that was actually this year in 2025. So it took me from 2022 until now, this year, to be able to get my license, get comfortable enough on a bike to actually, you know, shift up, shift down, do maneuvers, things like that. And it was at that point that I started riding my KLX on road, just to make sure I still liked it, and things like that. And I wasn't too scared. And that was a journey because I live in the mountains. So a lot of riders, you know, you start on streets, things like that, that are straight. And I pretty much started canyon riding. So I would take like a really slow but technical road to try and learn how to do turns. And it was fun. It was very scary my first time doing that. And I went so slow. You know, if you've ever ridden canyons and things like mountain roads, you know, you have to pull out and get out of the way for faster riders. And it was like every 2 seconds that I was having to pull out and get out of the way for people to pass me because I was going so slow. And then I just kept riding, and I realized I loved it so much that I wanted something with a little bit more power. The KLX has about like 14 miles or horsepowers, so it's pretty slow. It was a perfect beginner bike. I honestly, if anyone was to ask me like, what's a good beginner bike, I feel like a small little dual sport like that is perfect because they're super lightweight. The one I had was super forgiving. Like it would almost like rev match, so you didn't dump the clutch or you didn't stall as easily. And then it's perfect to like learn off-road and things like that. And then you can transfer to on-road your skills. So I decided I wanted something with a little bit more power so I could actually go over 60 miles per hour because the top speed on that KLX is, I think, 70. So it was pretty topping it out going over 60 miles per hour. So I decided on an R3. And so I bought that bike, and I honestly, riding around the parking lot, thought I made the biggest mistake of my life. And it felt so weird because it was such a sporty riding position, things like that. But I just kept practicing, kept riding. My first few rides up and down the mountains were still super slow, just because it felt so weird. And then now I feel like I'm so comfortable. That bike is probably the best decision I've made as far as riding, other than the KLX. And it's so, I wouldn't say comfortable because it's a sports bike, so it's not like comfortable to ride for a long period of time. But for a beginner, I think it's such a good bike because it's light. It's not a lot of power. People say it's a slow sports bike, but that thing has some get up and go. I mean, you can go 80 plus easily on the freeway. But it's not so peppy that you're going to flip your bike if you decide to, drop the clutch and rev it. I know one thing I liked about them is they're kind of hard to wheelie. Like, you have to try and wheelie those bikes. So that's kind of what pushed me into getting it. And plus it's super cute. I'll put a picture here so you can see. And so that's kind of been my journey so far. It was a really long journey. I mean, I took 4 years off or so from riding. But honestly, it's kind of crazy because I was so scared of riding in the beginning in 2017. And then from learning on the KLX, I used to honestly be shaking because I was so scared. And now I can't wait until I can go out on the bikes. I feel like if this is something that you've been interested in or something that you're thinking about trying, definitely try it. Be smart. Don't jump on a 1,000cc bike, because I think even me, I've been riding now pretty consistently for a full season now. And I wouldn't want to jump on that because that shit's fast. So just be smart about it. Try and find something that fits you, that isn't too powerful, that you feel comfortable on. And then I always say, ride your own ride. When I first started riding the canyons, I felt a little bit discouraged and a little sad that I had to pull over all the time because everyone was passing me. And it was a little bit saddening that was I was so slow. But I think if I would have pushed it hard or tried to keep up with traffic or tried to go faster, I would have probably had close calls or a crash. So definitely ride your own ride and ride within your limits. And then eventually the speed will come. I'll put some footage here or some B-roll so you guys can see. But now, I mean, I'm nowhere near fast because there's people on motorcycles that blare past me still, and they're amazing. I don't know how they can go that fast in canyons, but I ride with someone who's been riding for 8+ years now, and they say now I have a good pace. So nowhere near the fastest, the most technical rider, but definitely as you keep practicing, as you keep progressing, speed and confidence and everything will come. So take your time, ride your own ride. I mean, my motorcycle journey almost took 10 years from the time that I first sat on a motorcycle and tried riding it until now, where I'm actually comfortable and go out and do 50+ mile rides through the canyons back and forth for hours and hours a day. And I wouldn't change it for the world. So definitely don't be discouraged if you don't feel like you're perfect right away. If you feel like you're slower than everyone else, if you feel a little nervous, things like that, it's normal to be nervous. When you first start riding, every time before a ride, I'd be dry mouth, super scared, things like that. And now it's gone, or it's pretty much gone. So I say don't get discouraged, keep trying, and don't give up, and just ride your ride and stay safe. So some of my goals for this channel, obviously as a female rider, I have found that finding gear reviews and things like that on motorcycle gear, and honestly just finding motorcycle gear in general for women is a little bit hard. So I definitely am going to focus on first doing a lot of gear reviews for women. So I do have some gear that I have bought to film some videos. So I have a lot of the Street and Steel leggings, Sedici, I always say Siddiqui, but it's Sedici, motorcycle jackets, my riding boots, and also my Pando Moto suit that I have found that as a woman who's a little bit curvier, has thicker thighs, things like that, I've found things that have been able to fit on me and be comfortable and also kind of look cute as well, because let's face it, we all also want to look cute as well as being safe. So my first set of videos I definitely want to do is a series of gear reviews. If you have any specific items that you guys want to see, please comment below if there's any brands or like a type of pant you guys want to see, and I'll be sure to try and pick those up and do a review for you guys. But coming up next, I have a pair of Street and Steel leggings that I did get from Cycle Gear. So I will do a review on those. I also have the Sedici jacket that I got from Cycle Gear. It's more of like an adventure style jacket. It's not leather or anything, but it's a good one that can go from hot to cold, things like that. So I'll definitely be doing reviews on those in more in depth. So stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe. And I look forward to you guys all joining my channel and my journey on YouTube. As I start here, I'm sure, you know, this video is probably going to be looked back on and be like, ooh, that was rough in the beginning, but stick with me. I'm new to this, so we'll only get better from here. And yeah, drop a comment if there's anything you guys want to see, any specific gear. Hopefully eventually I can maybe do some motorcycle test rides, things like that. Because as a shorter rider and a girl, finding bikes that also fit you and are comfortable are also hard. So let me know if that's something that you think would be fun too. I do know I'm going to try the BMW F800 GS at like a demo days coming up in December. So I'll be sure to film that because they have like the low seat height and stuff. But yeah, so I look forward to starting this journey. Thank you guys for sticking around for this video and learning a little bit about me and my journey with motorcycles. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Bye.